been a wee while since I posted anything. Been finding it quite difficult just to find something to post. The real reason that I started this channel way back, what, 3.5 years ago now, was really to try and encourage folk to discover the path network. It's a brilliant path network around Livingston, right throughout the town. And perhaps to get out on their bike. I've been greatly encouraged as I go around. People have recognised me, and I've met people who have done just as I had hoped they would do, got themselves a bike and got out on the bike. In fact, in the video that I've got coming up to show you, 2 people recognised me and stopped and had a chat, and I felt very encouraged by their chat. I started out posting just videos of individual paths throughout Livingston as end-to-end rides. No commentary, nothing much to them, just pure documentary. This is the path, this is where it goes, these are the paths that it crosses as you go. But there's only so much of that you can do, and regular followers of my channel have seen that I've expanded to beyond Livingston town, throughout West Lothian perhaps, and sometimes going a wee bit further afield, looking for active travel paths, using my camper van to get me to places. However, I've been thinking recently that I could probably do something more within Livingston itself, and just posting some longer videos, non-stop as it were, start to end videos of some of my favourite routes, or the routes around the town that I really enjoy, and not just around the town but around West Lothian. I recently, in fact the last video I posted was just of such a ride. I was doing a recce for a ride I'm doing with the West Lothian Bike Library, and I was just using a neck mounted camera and using the microphone of the camera to talk into, and that's largely what I've done with this ride that's coming up. It is necessarily a long video, so get yourself a big pot of tea or a couple of cans of your favourite brew or whatever it is that you would want to sit down and relax with. Try not to fall asleep. This ride starts and finishes at Livingston North Rail Station. That was one of the thoughts that I had. I could start my rides from particular points that people could recognise and go and follow the route for themselves, or perhaps even come and visit Livingston, as somebody did all the way from London last year, to come and visit Livingston on the strength of my videos. However, yes, so to give people a start point that's easily found, and a start point and an end point. So this one's a long one. It lasts about, I think, about an hour and 40 minutes. I'm doing a little bit of chat, in fact talk pretty much throughout the entire video, just giving my thoughts on the places that we pass, where we're passing through, little bits of historical knowledge if I've got it, and for all I know my knowledge isn't right. I'm open to folk putting things right and adding in the stuff that I forget. So anyway, I mustn't yatter on for too long. Here goes with the Rail and River Ramble. Thanks for watching. Okay, here we go. We're starting here at Livingston North Rail Station, and I hope the camera's picking this up. I've just had to change out a dead battery. So I'll explain what I'm up to as I go before the folk get off this train. So we're heading west from Livingston North Rail Station. That's great. I've only just met a guy, what was his name? David. Nice to meet you, David. Telling me he's seen my videos and he finds them helpful, finds a route. Just going to shut up here, concentrate on folk who aren't looking to see if there's anyone coming on a bike up here in training. Go this way, get past the crowds before they come off the train. So that was really nice, pleasant wee chat there with David Livy, he says he watches my channel and he's really enjoying finding his way around Livingston and where have you, based on my videos, which is really great. That sort of thing really always encourages me. So it's been a wee while since I posted anything, and sometimes I feel that the videos get a bit repetitive going around Livingston, because a lot of it is just all the same. Oops, I've forgotten to start my... Didn't start my GPS. I wanted to track this ride. A little bit chaotic at the start. So I'm heading west on a railway path, which is now signed with colour coded signs as L4, Livingston Route 4. That's a whole other video about a project that was started about 2.5 years ago. Was it 2.5 or 3.5 years ago? I think actually 3.5 years ago, to improve the signage, which has only ever been implemented in very piecemeal fashion. So I'm off on a circular tour. I'll be finishing back up at Livingston North Rail Station in due course. And this is the first obstacle west on railway path. We've got this very old gate. Wee bit of a struggle for some of the bigger motorised mobility scooters, but this is the junction. That's pretty much the end of railway path, and it's the junction with Knellburn path. And Knellburn is just over there, I should say just over there, and we're heading south now on Knellburn path. And I'm going to follow the path. I'm going to try to stick to named paths that are fairly easy to give directions to. And the reason for that is it's kind of inspired by a post I saw on Facebook from Spokes, the Edinburgh and Lothian's cycle campaign. They're looking for entries for your favourite bike ride. And I thought, well, I've got so many favourite bike rides, you don't often see much on their post. Morning. Hi. How are you doing? Not bad. Good. Yeah, this is a competition they run every year, I think, or they have done for the last few years. And I never see much in the way of West Lothian routes showcased on their results. I'm not bothered whether I win anything or what, but I thought I've got so many favourite rides around Livingston. I'll maybe put in a couple of rides that I like, and I'll try and organise them so that they're family friendly and that they can be accessed easily by folk from Edinburgh coming out by train. So, starting and finishing at Livingston North Rail Station, which is on the Edinburgh to Helensburgh Central via Glasgow Queen Street rail line, easily accessible. And I'm going to stick to as few named paths as possible. I did wonder about cutting through the town just to showcase the great connected network of paths that we've got here in Livingston, but then it becomes difficult to provide directions. Thanks. So I'm following the Knellburn path to its south end. It's all signposted, and at the south end of the Knellburn path, which goes around, as you've seen, Aileyburn Park and now we're going through Livingston Old Wood, and we'll come down a sort of rather muddy and wet weather, and it's been wet the last few days, zigzag path down the hill to join the National Cycle Network Route 75, which really traverses West Lothian and cuts right through Livingston. And I'm going to head east on NCN 75 again, and I'm just going to follow it all the way right through Livingston into Mid Calder and Almondell and Countrywood Country Park. Oh, Almondell and Calderwood Country Park. This is the zigzag path down the hill here. It's not too bad after a few days of rain. It's been very, very dry before that. I like to come down here carefully. I don't want my brakes, my wheels jamming on and just damaging the surface. So there we've got the route up there. We're going to go left. It says it'll take 18 minutes to get to Almondell and Calderwood Country Park. I need to get my brain around that. Or you can turn right and head all the way out towards Blackridge and beyond that to Glasgow. Of course, the NCN 75 itself uses many of the named paths in Livingston. We're on the Lochshot Burn path just now. The Lochshot Burn with the Nellburn flows into the Lochshot Burn just under the bridge we've just gone over. And the Lochshot Burn is down on our right. There's just so much to see and understand on this path. Just into the left and to the right there, I should say, that was a wee bit of an art installation. Kind of Neolithic type, or pseudo-Neolithic type structures. Just into the right, past these trees over here. This little mound here, it's a bit overgrown now, but I think it's kind of, you can go around into it. It's worth having a wee look into it. It's sort of shaped a bit like a small broch that's collapsed. And you see brochs in some of the usually in the Northwest Highlands, but there are some down in the borders as well. And just a wee bit further on, I think it's this opening on the right down here, we'll see no, it's not this opening, it's just round the next bend. We'll come across the Livingston Stone Circle, and some folk are fooled into thinking that it's an ancient stone circle. But it's actually, I think it was a Millennium Project art installation. It's installed around about 2000. Thanks. And I'm just following this path all the way down to where it meets, where it enters into Livingston Village. Folk know Livingston as a new town, post-war new town, developed from the early 60s, 1960s. Out there, thanks. But the village of Livingston, its history goes back to almost medieval times. And if you were coming down in this path on a family outing, it would be well worth, as part of you, just to take wee detours here and there. You can get to the site of the original Livingston Peel, not far from here, not long past the end of Peel Path, which takes you to Peel Park, in which there is a construction showing where the original Livingston Peel, which dates back to, I think, the 12th or 13th century is dated, was constructed. We're passing Livingston Old Parish Church, and we've got Livingston Inn on the left. If you go down the right there, have a wee look down at Livingston Bridge. We've just passed the Livingston Inn, and on the right, just in this wee house on the right, if you have a look, it's a private house now. But that used to be the post office. And there's still an old post box in the wall of the old post office. It's not used anymore. Coming along here past Bloom Farm. That was originally a farm, and actually when Livingston New Town was being developed, that was where the town artist was based. And this is Main Street, Livingston. It's at one time this was the main road from Edinburgh through to Glasgow. It's now, I should point out, we're just crossing over the Ely Burn. I should say crossing over the Folly Burn. On the left is the Old Manse, and through there. This would at one time have been on the main route from Edinburgh to Glasgow in the days of horse and cart. It's now pretty much closed off, residential, with and it's traffic calmed. It's not every day you get someone looking that far ahead and giving way, but that's very nice. There's an alternative to coming along the road here. If you'd followed the road down to Livingston Bridge, just before the bridge you can turn left off a path that follows more closely the bank of the river. It's more of a rough, muddy track, but it's quite doable, as long as you don't have very narrow, skinny tyres on your bike, like a road bike. And we're on Almond Path here, and there's always two cars parked above the clearly printed "Keep Clear" sign. I was just crossing under Alderstone Road. Alderstone Path goes down there, but we're carrying on along Almond Path, which is the NCN 75. This is coming past St Margaret's RC High School, and we'll be coming down to Almondale Park. Here's a wee bit rough, but at least it's a solid surface. And we're going to go to the right here. And we're almost in the centre of Livingston now, but we just pass through it. You wouldn't really know. There's a bridge on the right coming up here. If we cross that, we get to the Livingston FC football stadium. Just up there, you don't really see it. Could follow the path round by the river, but I'm just sticking to the NCN 75 here. And over to the left we'll get the council buildings. Which are the West Lothian Council administrative offices, the courts and the police station. And the bridge on the right here, Bridge of Remembrance it's called, Bridge to Remembrance. That'll take you to the town centre. And I might just take a quick little detour off the path to go around by the Livy Skate Park, world famous skate park. One time there were skaters from all over Europe and America were coming to this skate park because it was so good, and it's recently been awarded listed status with Historic Environment Scotland. So I'm just going to follow this guy on his bike and just to take a wee look at the park. School holidays, so there's plenty of kids playing it, that's great. Let's get around here. This is just cool. Livingston Skate Park. Once upon a time, eh?
I'm doing my own stuff in the local. Shut up!
So there you are. So that's the skate park. I'm going to have a look at it from the other side. I just love coming up here just to see it. Can't say I was ever into skateboards or BMXs. Modern history. So I'm just going to get back onto the path and get back onto the NCN 75. This is one of the things I like about this route. There are so many wee bits and pieces of detours that you can make interesting discoveries. Crossing over the River Ramble just now. I'll turn back a wee bit myself. Just going to go right round here. This was originally an open air theatre, kind of auditorium, but it got vandalised and it's now been converted into a pretty fantouche play park. And another wee bit of art. Unfortunately, it's been vandalised. That's twice it's been vandalised since it was moved there, which is a shame. It's only recently it was moved. And this is back onto the NCN 75. Down there is where I turned off, so this is back en route. There's the NCN 75 sign. And this is bang in the centre of Livingston. Town of maybe, what is it now, but it must be getting on for 60 or more thousand people. It's the bridge we just came round. There's a wee seating area down there to the right. Coming under the new Howden Bridge. I'm going to take another wee detour round to the right here. Where we've got a wee viewing area over the river with a wee information board. And there's a mistake in the information board that really needs to be pointed out. Somebody's actually painted over it. So if that hadn't been painted over, you'd be able to read all the various things that you can see here. There's the error. Refers to Howden Bridge, which is the old bridge over there just ahead of us. But the picture accompanying it isn't Howden Bridge. The picture is of Naismith Bridge, which is further down in Almondell Country Park, which is what we'll be seeing. So there we go. Nice wee viewing area. It's getting on for the middle of summer now, so it's pretty heavily grown. We can come down here. There's something interesting on the other side of Howden Bridge, which we'll take a wee detour to see as well. I'm watching you hear there's broken glass around here. So there's the old Howden Bridge that carried. That was the main crossing point for the River Ramble in days gone by. For traffic coming from Edinburgh out through Mid Calder and on through West Calder and where have you. And we've got a road crossing here, light controlled, which is good, and the lights do change pretty quickly. The road itself isn't always that busy. You can tell it's the school holidays, the vandals have been out with the paint. There we go. Cheers lads. Go down here. It's this little path just down here, immediately after that crossing. We come down. Getting quite overgrown here, the Howden Rock Ramp. Again, because it's summertime, it's a bit overgrown. There used to be a weir here, going right across the water there, which fed a mill just down below the A899 Livingston Road Bridge there. It's quite a steep. The River Ramble was quite heavily polluted at one time, but before the industrial era of the shale mining, salmon and trout came upstream to spawn, and the river's been cleaned up quite a lot recently, in recent years, and the weirs were a problem for fish getting back upstream. Salmon and trout and eels do make their way upstream now, but to make it that bit easier for them, a rock ramp was formed here. There are actually two manufactured pools on either side of this little island here, which give a more shallow gradient for fish to swim up and pools to rest in as they're swimming upstream. And I believe that you may also see otters on the river here as well, or in that central part of the river. So there are, I think, 5 fish passes in total on the River Ramble now. We will be passing 3 of them. That's the first, and that's a rock ramp. There is one further upstream at Kirkton Weir, which fed the Livingston Mill farm mill. At this point we're leaving Almondell Park, coming under the viaduct, and we'll be entering Almond Park. The fish pass up at Kirkton is a linear pass, and we will be seeing an example of a linear pass further on in the ride. Coming through Almond Park, there are 2 or 3 paths that could be taken. Could go off to the right here, and follow a rough track alongside the river, or we can take a turn to the right just up here and meet that same path. Thanks. National Cycle Route. This is its official route here, along this path, along the top of the park. Thank you. Just at this point, I think I'm going to turn left down here. Not turn left, turn right. It's a slightly better path. And these paths do meet up. There are different ways of passing through Almond Park. As long as you head east, the paths all meet up at the end where the path crosses the bridge into Mid Calder, and there's another weir there which has been bypassed as a fish pass, and it's the Craigs Hill fish bypass, and that's the one I'm going to go and see. So we can follow this tarmac path all the way, and it will meet up with the NCN 575, which is going round the top and round the trees beyond. Or at this thing here, we cross over a drain. I'm going to turn down here and take the Riverside Trail.
a lot of folk out.
At least you've got a bell.
Aye, thanks. Never met so many folk in this path. This is one of my favourite bits. Just coming down here, there's a couple of seats that you could stop at just to sit and look over the river, up or down stream. There we go. So the NCN 75 is up the top there. Maybe seeing the camera, maybe picking up there's folk walking down the path there. That would be if I'd stuck to the original tarmac route. That's the way that route goes. And we'll be coming up here to meet that, where there's a bridge, crosses the River Ramble, just at the point of the mid-Calder weir. Fed yet another mill. Alright. Thanks. Lovely wee seating areas around here. If you follow the riverside trail, which is fairly, this isn't too bad actually. Coming up here, back onto the tarmac, and down here to the right is the wee information board about the Craigs Hill bypass channel, which we'll get a better view of from the bridge. So we're right above the bypass channel. That's constructed to allow the passage of fish upstream. And over here you can see where it joins the main, over there it joins the main river as it flows round. It's not a lot of water on the river just now. We've had a couple of days of rain, but it's not too bad. And there's the weir. That's what the channel bypasses. That construction in the middle was the original construction to allow fish upstream, but it's not that great. And when the river is in spate, that whole concrete structure is completely covered. So the Craigs Hill bypass channel was constructed give fish an easier passage uphill. So we're still in the NCN 75, and you'll see here we're also on the Shale Trail. The Shale Trail's a walking route, or primarily a walking route. That if you do it in order, you start at West Calder, opposite the co-op in West Calder, and it finishes in Winchborough. And it tells the story of the shale oil industry, Scotland's first oil industry, and of the work of the miners, and we'll be passing quite a few places. It's worth looking up Shale Trail on the web and finding the website. I think it's shaletrail.org, but I'm not too sure of that at the moment. Might put a link in the video. It's a really good website. As I say, it's primarily a walking route, a walking trail, about 16 miles long. 16 miles, about 27 kilometres. But most of it can be cycled. I have cycled the whole length of it before in parts. At the West Calder end it's not quite so cyclable, there's quite a lot of hike-a-bike and steps to deal with. And there are a couple of necessary detours to avoid steps that actually will be following the detours from the Shale Trail. So we're in mid-Calder just now. This is a traffic calmed road, part of the NCN 75, which crosses over here. We're crossing Pumferston Road. And we cross into Almondell and Calderwood Country Park. It's supposed to be a 30-mile-an-hour limit down here, but I've yet to see folk stick to that. So we follow this. Now it's along here it actually gets a bit difficult if you're on a longer bike, or like me just now on a cargo bike. There is a very steep, narrow path here, so if you were on, say, an assistance bike, adapted trike or bike, you really would need additional help to get up the hill if you're reliant on being on your mobility scooter or your mobility aid. The likelihood is that you wouldn't get up here, but that's the only fly in the ointment there. Now this bridge goes over Linhouse Water, and there's an interesting fact that not an awful lot of folk know. The Union Canal, which runs between Edinburgh and Falkirk, is a contour canal, and it is filled with water from the Pentland Hills. The construction of the canal also involved the construction of what's the name of the reservoir? It's just completely gone from my mind. Begins with a C. What is it?
Donald.
I'm Donald, yes.
Well, you don't know me, Donald, but I know you.
Lost in Livy.
Yes, absolutely.
You're the second person who said that to me today.
Yeah, really? I've got one of them.
Have you? Very good.
Yeah, inspired by you.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I'm an avid watcher.
Well, thank you very much. You enjoy it? Find it helpful?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I've learned a lot.
That's great.
Yeah, definitely. Like the setup too.
Aye, this bike provides quite a good platform for camera attachment points and things like that. But, yeah.
So what's your route today?
I'm heading in. I've started off at Livingston North Rail Station, and I'm recording a ride. Okay, I went down the Nell Burn path onto the Lockshot Burn path, National Cycle Network 75. I've come right the way through Livy, and I'm going out to the visitor centre, and then I'll go back up and over the Camps to Viaduct, back up to Uphall and back along to Livy North Station.
Brilliant. Super route. Got a bit of a tough hill coming up.
I know, yeah. Oh, I know that one. Aye, I'll be pushing up there.
Well,
nice to meet you.
I'll keep watching.
All right, thanks. Oh, that's brilliant. That's two folk in the same ride have stopped me to say hello. That's brilliant. I didn't get that lad's name, so he'll maybe see it. So, yep, if I do post something here, hello there. Yeah, what was I saying? And I still can't. Cobbonshaw Reservoir. Cobbonshaw, that's it. When they constructed the Union Canal, they had to find a way of filling it And so the engineers of the day constructed Cobbonshaw Reservoir up in the Pentland Hills, and it's fed down through, I think it's called the Bog Burn, that feeds out of Cobbonshaw, feeds eventually in through West Calder and Muirston Water, which is a tributary to Linhouse Water, which in turn down here is a tributary to the River Ramble. And just a little bit along the River Ramble we will come across a weir which takes the water from the River Ramble along the Union Canal feeder, and will actually cross over the Union Canal feeder, which takes it on a channel all the way down to Lynn Water, or Lynn Viaduct, where it feeds directly into the canal, and it keeps the canal filled and topped up. Right, so let's get on our way. Right. Now, I have ridden a bike up here. It's just bloody dangerous. I'm on the Tern HSD today, which is an e-bike. It has a walk assist mode, which apparently works best. I've never actually worked it out all out. Walk assist, you press the button at the bottom. That's it. And this should give me some assistance going up the hill. I'm not feeling it. Oh no, you get a press. That's it. But yeah, this is not a particularly good section of the path if you're reliant on turning the pedals. It's only short, but unfortunately it's as effective as a narrow barrier for some. Right, so we're going to go down here. Oof. More out of puff from walking than I usually am from cycling. Down here we have the newest of the fish passes, the Mid-Calder Larinia Fish Pass. There's a wee viewing area. There we go. So here we are. That's the Mid-Calder Weir, and that concrete construction in the middle is just the same idea as we saw back up at the other weir, the last weir we passed. And this concrete construction down the middle is the Larinia Fish Pass. There's a much gentler gradient comes down here, and it allows fish to enter at the bottom and swim their way up there. It is possible to get in there and take a look. I'll maybe put in a wee clip from a video that I made with my grandchildren, with two of my grandchildren, a couple of years ago in this route, just after this was built. It's quite overgrown just now, and there's a little bit of a smell about just now, and that is because over on the other side is the East Calder Wastewater Treatment Works. That's also known as Sewage Works. Let's see if I can get myself up this wee hill again. Whee, it's a bit loose. There we go. So this is, as I say, it's in Almondell and Calderwood Country Park. It's part of the National Cycle Network, Route 75. And it's a pretty pleasant ride. I think modern day roadies might find this track a little bit challenging. I'm old enough to remember when you didn't have roadies, you had touring bikes and you had racing bikes. And racing bikes were what the pros took up the Tourmalet and places like that. In fact, I think today they are going up the Tourmalet, the day of recording this. And a touring bike would have something like 1¼ inch wide tyres, which some would consider narrow these days. But it's really nice along here. Here's my subscriber again. Thank you. This is a part of the route that I really like, and just over on the left here is the weir I was talking about that takes the water off to the canal feeder. It's quite a shallow weir, so I guess it's been determined that it doesn't need the fish pass assistance of some of the other weirs on the river. Now we've got a narrow bridge going across and then a narrow twisty bit of poorly surfaced track down the other side. This is where I reckon if you were on a family outing and you were riding maybe one of the longer cargo bikes or maybe a bike with a trailer, it's not impossible, but it's just getting into the dodgy area here. We've got this very narrow sharp turn going down here. And I'm just going to... You alright? Thanks.
Alright?
Yeah.
Some horses went through this bridge just recently and it's been rebuilt. Looks nice and solid. And there's the counter. That's just counted me as making a trip along the NCN 75. And we've now got the canal feeder on my left, which is just a watery channel. But I think this path is just a wee bit sharp, if you like. It's quite rough. Now up ahead of us there, you can see the Camps Viaduct, and in a wee while we'll be up there on the top of that. There's a little bridge goes over. The shale trail follows across this bridge on the left here and up some very steep flight of steps up to the viaduct. And the route for cycling takes us round through Almondell Park and up, really follows the NCN 75. This little covered area is really there to protect walkers or cyclists from stuff dropping and drips from the viaduct. I think it's quite a popular place to come for wedding photos. Anyone is he on the phone? Oh, he's got earphones. Thanks. Now we can go left or right here. Going left, it's quite a decent path. Officially the NCN 75 goes over here. This is quite a unique construction. Oops. Jacket's caught in me. Really need to get off here. We're now walking over the canal feeder as it crosses over the River Ramble. Someone waiting to get on here. It's quite narrow, and if we're taking that bridge over to the left. Hello. Thanks. Hello, thanks. Yes, had we taken the bridge over to our left, we'd have followed the other side of the river round by the trees, through under the trees. It's really quite a nice path, and it's probably a wee bit safer, to be honest. It's certainly wider and easier to pass folk than on this path, but I'm sticking more or less to the official NCN 75. At the end of this path we come to the Naismith Bridge over the River Ramble, and the NCN continues to the right up the hill. I'm just going to go left over the bridge, and you know I'm here. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to take a wee detour off the NCN 75 here into Almondell Visitor Centre. You get a nice view off the bridge here going down the River Ramble. Oops. I'm beginning to see why this is a favourite place of mine to come. Hello. I'm going to follow the road and I'll come back along that path there to the right. Excuse me. It's alright. Thanks. There's another route I might do that actually uses a lot of the route that I've just been along, coming through here, but instead of going up to East Calder, you can carry on along this road straight up to Drumshoreland and Muir End Farm by the canal, and go east or west in the canal. But that's not what I'm doing today. I'll come round behind you. Thanks. And this is the visitor centre. Now in here there's a vending machine for drinks, all sorts of drinks, hot drinks and cold drinks. They have a freezer usually where there's ice cream. They did the last time I was here. There's toilets, exhibition room. I'm just going to pause the camera here. Well, can I see? There's me. I will come and pause the camera down here. Have a wee break. Okay, so I have now swapped out another battery. Come back. So been changing battery. I realised the camera packed in just as I got to the visitor centre there. So I've taken a couple of separate wee photos in that Osmo Action that I've got in my pocket, and I've come round the picnic area, and if you're a fairly new resident in the area in Calderwood, the new kind of village attached to East Calder, you can get to it from that bridge there. So now we're heading on our way back. I'm going to sort of retrace our steps. I quite like this. You come down, you get to the visitor centre along the road, and then round behind the visitor centre and down onto this wee track. Favourite seat of mine for sitting having a wee sandwich and a cup of tea or something, if I come suitably prepared. Aye. And it's a nice wee ride along here, along the shore of the River Ramble. I've got a video already on my channel. I think it was a couple of years ago I posted it. I'll put a link to it in the corner or down below or wherever you do in YouTube channels. I made it with my two of my grandchildren, twins. I think they were just 12 or 13 at the time. They came this ride with me on their bikes, and my granddaughter Isla explains in the video just along here what's special to this part of the trail to her. Just passing information boards. There's an information board for European otter, for the grey heron. These are all. What's this we've got here? Wood mouse. Bell Bridge and the memorial stones. A lot of information boards telling you about the place. And this is us coming back onto the path. It's a little bit bump up onto the path there. There we go. And back onto the Naismith Bridge. And now we're rejoining the NCN 75. We're heading up to East Calder now. It's a bit of a warm day. It's turning warmer than I'm dressed for. Not as warm as I'm dressed for. Yeah, warmer than I'm dressed for. So I'm making use of the assistance mode. Just going past another counter. making use of the assistance modes to help me up the hill. It's a great thing about an e-bike. My e-bike is a first generation Tern HSD, which is assisted by a Bosch Active Line Plus motor, and it has a long established, well tried and trusted, tried and tested hub gearing Shimano Nexus 8, which is an excellent internal gear hub. However, it's not capable of responding to the maximum output from the output that the Bosch Active Line Plus is capable of. So the output from the motor on this bike is restricted to a maximum of 40 Newton meters, which I find is plenty. I've got 4 assistance modes. Eco gives me, I forget now, is it 35% of the effort I put in? And thank you. Turbo matches like for like the effort I put in. Sport mode, I think it's something like, is it 175% of the effort I put in, and turbo mode puts in, it's either 225 or 250%, but again up to a maximum of 40 Newton meters. And quite often in turbo mode, if you're on a hill, you're actually putting in so much effort through your legs that the motor isn't actually providing too much help at all. It works best if you're spinning the high cadence. So this is where the NCN exits Almondell and Calderwood Country Park. This stretch of footpath is a shared use path. It's signposted as the Shale Trail and the NCN 75. The NCN 75 crosses the road here and goes up to the left, just opposite that white van ahead. But we are going as far as this junction, and we will be following the Shale Trail signs sharply to the right. I suspect these girls are maybe going that way too. So we come right back on ourselves. Thank you. And we're now following the track bed of what was once a very busy mineral railway, connecting the oil works at Pumferston with the main line down at, I think it would be Kirknewton, or feeding into Camps Industrial Estate. The countryside is lovely up here, and just up ahead of where we are just now, we'll be coming over the Camps Viaduct that we passed under not long ago. And I have to say, I think the views are pretty spectacular. I hope you'll agree with me. And then we'll carry on up the Bank Burn path, which is the track bed of the railway. But again, we get lovely views over the countryside. Just opens up here. So there we are. There's the River Ramble way down below us. Over there's the water treatment works that we passed. And down here is the path. Somebody walking on the path that we came along. And come over to the other side of the bridge. And we can see down there the path and the canal feeder bridge, which carries the canal feeder below the walkway, which is quite cool. And up ahead of us we've got nice open countryside. I just love it up here. You've been down there alongside the river and amongst the trees, and you come up here to this wonderful open view. From here up to Almondell Station, it's a gravel path. Again, for most bikes it's fine. If you were on narrow tired road bike, you might find them might find it just a little bit challenging, but particularly if it has been wet, because you can get some fairly slippery, deep, muddy puddles along here. I just love the views from here. We're over there into the fields. The path itself, as you can see, is quite shaded, quite sheltered. So regardless really of where the wind is coming from, it's quite good. In fact, that holds true for most of this circular route. It's pretty well shaded most ways. Probably the last stretch from Almondell Station to Livingston North Station, which goes gently uphill, is probably more exposed, and you're heading into what would normally be the prevailing wind direction. It just so happens that today the wind is coming from the east or the northeast. Oh, some folk coming down on bikes. I'll maybe stop in here.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
The weekend motorbike up there.
Is there?
Can't drive it.
Annoying. Thanks. So I've been warned of a wee kid on an off-road motorbike, which unfortunately isn't unusual here. Well, I say unusual, it's the school holidays. They use the old shale bings tips, waste tips, for off-road motorcycling. And they can be a real nuisance on these paths. And this that we're crossing is Powie's Path. We cross straight over. Not so many years ago, this was an active railway line, and just about this point here it spread out into a massive goods yard. Pumferston Oil Works was a pretty major oil refinery, a shale oil refinery in its day, and it was located up over to the left here. On the right was the tip, the bing, where the waste material, the inert material that was left over after from the retorts after being heated to extract the oil. And there's the supports for what would have been a bridge that we'd have taken the retorts up to the bing. So we've had medieval or near medieval history, we've had pseudo-Neanderthal history, Neolithic history from the art installations on the Lochshot Burn, near medieval history, certainly back to the 13th or 12th centuries, through Livingston village, which at one time was just simply Livingston. It's now called Livingston Village to distinguish it from the new town of Livingston. And now we've got a post-industrial history, and it's quite fascinating to delve into it. As I was saying, for the Shale Trail website, which I really must find a link for, hello, has a huge amount of information, really interesting stuff. And we come under the bridge there, which carries Drumshoreland Road, Coburn Road is it? Over to the left here. If you were to go up there, it's a bit tricky. You would come to an area that until recently was Pumferston Brickworks. I think I've got some old photos that I took. Some of the buildings were still standing. They've all been demolished now and flattened. I might put them into the video. In fact, I've got photos going back a few years for most of the spots that I've come to. Might just put them in. This is why you wear a helmet on these paths. These branches can do a lot of damage to your head. This path used to be a lot worse than this. It was resurfaced. I think it may have been during the COVID times, or around about that time. The surface was improved. This used to be a very rutted, very muddy path that you wouldn't want to come down unless you were on a mountain bike. We're just coming round the back of back of Uphall Station, not Uphall Station, of the back of Pumferston. And we carry on up this path. This is an interesting stretch of path. When you look at it on something like an Ordnance Survey map, there's really very little incline or decline on it. We're actually dropping maybe a couple of metres going this direction, but it feels like you're going downhill. It feels like you're going down quite a bit more than that, and coming the other way you feel you should be going downhill, but you're consciously pedalling to go uphill. It's just a weird bit of path. It's actually effectively flat. Right, so we're just following this path. There's a lot of folk out today. Thanks. It's helpful when they're wearing headphones, you know that they can't hear you. In the good old days of earphones with wires attached to them, you could also tell as you get closer. Nowadays most folk have got ear pods, no wires. You don't see anything until they turn round out in total shock. Just got to be that wee bit more careful. Be more prepared to slow down, stop if necessary. So here we are now, this wee path just into the right here. If you take that path, that will take you some fairly rough track alongside the railway. We're almost at the railway now, to Roman camps and Drumshoreland, and back down towards the canal. If you were travelling from Edinburgh along the canal, that's probably the easiest, the most level way of getting into the north side of Livingston, coming this way. Now this can be a bit confusing. You're following the signs for the Shale Trail. You turn right. If you go left, that'll take you through to Uphall, or to the north side of Uphall railway station. But we can follow the path on the south side, which is the one that I want to take. I wish they would renew that surface, it's pretty rough. Now at this point, we can either go through the car park up the top, or we can go along the bottom. I find it just as easy to go along by the station. Now because this is a circular route, if somebody was venturing from further afield by train to do this ride, this is an alternative start and end point. This is Uphall Station. It's the one before Livingston North Station if you're coming from Edinburgh, the one after Livingston North Station if you're coming from the Glasgow Helensburgh side. But once we're down here, we rejoin the Livingston path network, and we're now at the east end of the railway path, or of railway path, which is the path we started on. And it's a pretty decent road path all the way now. There we are, railway path L4. I think Ooh, gosh, somebody smashed that. Will we get... No, we missed the... This can be a busy road, and at least in this crossing we have a light controlled crossing. The beep doesn't beep, you've just got to watch for the lights changing. And it usually goes through its whole sequence. So you've got the traffic going left and right on Pumferson Road, and then it goes green for traffic coming from the station car park, which there's none, and then we'll get a signal to change, to go. We should do anyway. There we go. It's gone to the green man on the other side. It's a wee bit dodgy here. There's wee bits of broken glass. Come around here. This really could do with a dropped curb. It doesn't have a dropped curb here. And this is now railway path, L4. There used to be a chicane gate here, but I think by design it was moved, or one half of it was removed. A wee bit further up there was an even worse chicane gate, very narrow. It was quite twisted. It was actually quite difficult to get through just on a regular bike. But there were some gas works recently. You can see there's a trench here. We're digging trenches all along, fitting a new pipeline, and the barriers that they had to remove for that found their way into the long grass apparently, and have never been replaced, which is brilliant. They serve no purpose. So yeah, so we've got a nice clear run. We've got the railway station to our right, not the railway station, the railway line to our right, and to the right of that is the M8 motorway. To our left is Houston Industrial Estate, Livingston's main industrial park. And there are several wee offshoots from this path that feed into the industrial park, into Houston Industrial Estate. Which again, if you were someone who works in one of these businesses, you've got nice safe access off the path. You've got fairly easy access from the rail stations. Pretty good. And at last we're on a nice wide stretch of path that's constructed as shared use paths really should be constructed. Doesn't last, mind, but it's a decent stretch. There were a lot of trees between the railway and the motorway, which had been planted as trees for harvesting 60 or so years ago, and the last couple of years these trees have been harvested, and I think they've been replanted instead of non-native larch pine, what have you. I believe they've been replanted with native species of trees which the next generation will enjoy and benefit from. Now we're going under the A899 dual carriageway. There's a lot of broken glass on here. You really got to watch where you're putting your wheels. And here we've got a sign which is in the wrong place. It refers to Lone Path L5. It's the same on the other side. This is not Lone Path L5, this is Railway Path L4. That's one of about 17 or 18 errors that are in the new signage that's been installed in the past couple of years. And this is coming up to the junction with Lone Path, which runs north-south, or generally north-south direction. Livingston North Rail Station, 5 minutes. That'll be interesting. We come into Knightsridge alongside Morrison Way, and the shared use path follows the footpath here. The road is a traffic calmed road, it's 20-mile-an-hour limit. That path, that sign is correct, Railway Path L4. I've been meaning for years to do a video on the new path signage. Ever since I saw the first signs going up, or the first poles going up, I recognised what it was that was happening from a report I found online. It had been commissioned by West Lothian Council and adopted by the council in it was either March or May 2018. I think it was 2021, 2022 that I saw the start of signage going up, but it's been very piecemeal. It's riddled with errors, and it just seems very incomplete, as if it's a project that's done every time someone puts a wee bit of money in the kitty, and there isn't any money in the kitty. It's all been nicked for other projects. But there are some signs up that tell you that somewhere is to the east, when in fact the place it's directing you is to the west. There's a northbound sign that's been erected as a southbound sign, so you've got a direction for Livingston North Station, which is actually pointing in the direction of Livingston South Station. There are signs with just fairly minor spelling errors. If you were to go back to where we joined the National Cycle Network, Route 75 at the foot of Nelburn Path, and looked at the sign for Nelburn Path as if you were coming off, as if you were joining the Nelburn Path from the NCN 75, you'd see it directs you ultimately to the A69, which is a road in Northumberland, rather than the A89, which is a cycleway going between Bathgate, well, going along towards Bathgate. Simple little things like that. Somebody who's local probably doesn't even read those signs because they know where they are anyway. Signage is of most use to somebody who doesn't know where they are or doesn't know the area. And if it has incorrect information, it can send them in the wrong way, cause confusion. Even what seems to be a fairly simple error at the top of the north end of Nelburn Path, there are 2 or 3 signs directing you to Livingston Park Station. There is no such station. They should be directing you to Livingston North Station. Signs further down the route show directions to Livingston North Station, but the signs at the top of the path are incorrect in saying it's Livingston Park. Anyway, we're almost at Livingston North, and I have been talking, muttering to this camera hanging from my neck for 1 hour and 18 minutes almost. And we're almost at the end of the ride, back to where we started. So I'll put a few links and bits and pieces down below. And as ever, thank you for riding with me. If you've followed me this far, it's a pretty long video. There's the dolly going. It's going to be a pretty long video if I put it in as an end-to-end video, which actually is what I feel inclined to do. So congratulations for getting to the end, or even for getting back here to the start. And yeah, thanks for riding with me. Ride with me again. Lost in Livy. Now, 1 hour 18 minutes 38 seconds, 19.38 kilometres. Average speed 14.78 kilometres per hour, maximum speed 27.48 kilometres an hour. Average cadence 60 RPM, maximum cadence 91 RPM. 164 metres ascent, 170 metres descent.